Ken Flo, this is going to be Anthony Pettis' first fight at 170 pounds since he knocked out Gabe Walbridge December of 2008, right before signing with the WEC, where, of course, he went on to become lightweight champion. Then he became the UFC lightweight champion, dropped to featherweight, of course, at one point to try to reinvent himself. Likely will return to lightweight after this fight, but this was a fight that he called for publicly. It seemed like for Anthony Pettis and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, neither one could find the right matchup in their respective divisions. Wonderboy only one win spanning his last four. That was the pre-reference win against Jorge Masvidal in New York. Lost to Darren Till, of course, his last time out, which was 10 months ago. Till missed weight for that fight. Many thought Thompson should have gotten the nod from the judges. What do you think about this Nashville main event, and what do you think Pettis might have for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson at 170 pounds?
This was one of those fights that had me scratching my head. I don't know, man. I remember when I had called for a fight with Anthony Pettis when I was fighting. I wanted to challenge myself and fight a great fighter like Pettis. And he said, no, I'm not going to fight you. I want to fight Clay Guida instead. And I remember thinking to myself, that's a terrible matchup for you. That's a worse matchup for you. I don't get it. And I don't get this one either against Wonderboy. I think, he's facing a guy who's bigger than him. He's facing a guy who is a much trickier striker than him. Listen, is Pettis more dangerous than Wonderboy on the ground? 100%. But if wrestlers like Johnny Hendricks and Tyron Woodley can't take Wonderboy down, right, I don't see Pettis doing it. And I think for Anthony Pettis, I've seen too much stagnation in his striking game, in my opinion. Still a very good fighter, a very dangerous fighter, but I don't think he's at the level striking-wise as a Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Unless Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is taking Pettis lightly, I just don't see Wonderboy losing. I see Wonderboy winning this fight by TKO in round 3.
All right, Thompson, round 3 TKO. And largely I agree. We were talking about Showtime Pettis a couple of fights ago where he felt like he was so hyper-focused on wrestling that he got away from it, right? And even wasn't traveling to see Izzy Martinez there for a little while, was trying to get back to his roots and what made him great. So the notion that he spent the last 6 weeks trying to figure out a way to take Stephen Wonderboy Thompson down repeatedly, I think maybe in transition, Kenny, in a clinch situation, but I'm not sure that, to your point, if guys like Hendricks and others had a real hard time taking Thompson down. Thompson uses that fence well. He's long. He's stronger than you would think. So I agree with a lot of what you're saying there. But I'm excited to see it. I love the fighter in Showtime Pettis. I love his willingness to take on a challenge like this. And we will see how it goes for him here in a few days. That's a great point. Anthony Pettis is a fighter, man. He definitely does not back down from a challenge. He's a guy who wants to fight the best out there at 145, 155, and now 170. Kid's a stud. All right, before we let you go, Ken Flo, and man, did you fucking bring the A game after a week off. I mean, you see how good Ken Flo is off the bye, folks? Absolutely incredible. I just want to get your thoughts on Michael Bisping and the announcement over the weekend that he would be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame coming up July 5th, 2 days before UFC 239. I will just say I was Octagon side. I wasn't calling the fight, but I was in London when he beat Anderson Silva, and that is as inspired as I have ever been by a professional athlete in terms of their toughness and their want and their desire to come back from adversity and win a fight. He just wasn't going to be denied. He wasn't going to be finished that night. I have so much respect for the body of work, and I'm just so happy that he's not going into the pioneer wing, right? And I don't even know if he's eligible because depending on when you make your pro debut, maybe he wouldn't be eligible as a pioneer. But when a lot of us thought about Michael Bisping as a Hall of Famer, we thought, oh, maybe he'll get in as a contributor, right, for what he's done for MMA in the UK. He is a first ballot modern era UFC Hall of Famer. And that's something that prior to UFC 199, when he beat Luke Rockhold, maybe people weren't saying. So I'm just very happy that not only is Bisping going in, but he's going in on the merits of his body of work as a former UFC middleweight champion. As far as the decision to make that happen, it was a dunk shot. I mean, Michael Bisping, you look at everything he's accomplished in the sport. It is very deserving. I couldn't have been happier to hear that news. This is a guy who has always fought his ass off every single fight. One of the best competitors that I've seen inside the octagon. The things that he's accomplished, the way that he has fought, that performance against Anderson Silva was just phenomenal.
one of the grittiest performances that I've ever seen. And Anik, I know you really mean that because we were texting back and forth during that fight, just absolutely wowed by what Michael Bisping was able to do in that fight against the legend Anderson Silva. And again, this is a guy who we know very well, an awesome dude. And again, he's going out in the right way. Awesome decision by the UFC. And Michael Bisping, congratulations. You're a legend.
No one makes Ken Phil laugh quite like Michael Bisping. He's a funny fucker,
dude.
too. I can't wait. Oftentimes when I'm standing backstage during this Hall of Fame induction ceremony and some of the speeches go a little bit long, I'm thinking, man, we got to call a pay-per-view in 2 days. Let's go. You can be sure everyone's going to be watching Bisping's induction speech with bated breath. So congratulations to the Count, soon to be UFC Hall of Famer Michael Bisping.